Okay, so tell us, Chloe. So how did you find your subjects, and then tell us what inspired their story, of course, to make this film, Beyond the Dish.
Yes. So maybe a little bit of background on what we do at Targo. So I am Chloé Rochereuil. I'm the one directing the movie here at Targo, and we always do nonfiction stories, so documentaries, and it's always about telling the story of people who are have extraordinary stories, and of course that are happening in highly visual environments because we're doing VR, so it has to be also like visually stunning. So for Behind the Dish, the idea, like we really wanted to do something of food for a long time because we thought there, might be so much potential here with VR,
Mhm.
just being able to see food differently. But
Yeah.
we didn't really know how, we would be able to do that in VR because mostly like what we do in VR is filming in 360 and things are, how they look with your human eyes. And so you can't really do like close up macro shots, things like that. So we had to come up with like something else. And when we had the technology, when we built like this camera we used for this project, we thought, okay, let's do something on chef and let's do something on women chef. And I think mostly the idea there was to just, put a spotlight on the women who are changing this industry because like the food industry is really like male dominated.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
really, yeah, wanted to tell different stories, and of course like because they're women, the journey to become the chef they are today was kind of more difficult than some of the male chef there.
Mhm.
So their stories was also more interesting um in that way. So yeah, we pick up like three different women, one chef from France, one chef from the United States, one chef from Japan, and they all have like amazing story. And that was the starting point of the idea of doing this series on food.
Um, can you okay, so let's first get to the VR part first, and then we'll circulate back with the women that you chose. Um, can you first highlight some of the different, just like some major differences when it comes to filming in VR rather than just regular filming?
Yeah. So when you're filming in VR, the idea is that the viewer, when he's inside the VR headset, he actually becomes the camera you hadn't set. So we film with like 360 camera. So they film in all direction, which is something very different from traditional film because with traditional film you just frame something and you don't really care what's happening, like behind you or like what's out of the frame. But in VR, you have to think about everything which is so shown in the room because it's 360. So you have to really think out of the box. And what is different is that it's more about experiencing being with someone like in a really personal way, and you definitely connect more with the people in the story, and you feel like you being there. And one of the challenges to do that in VR is also to make sure that you guide the viewer through the experience, and you make sure that he's actually seeing the right thing, even if it's 360, with the editing, with with directing the people. It's possible, it's feasible to actually make sure that you seeing the right thing and you enjoying the right experience, and you're not like backwards when you're supposed to be looking at the chef. So
Yeah.
it's a lot about the editing and the directing process, and of course like there are many topics that are uh, more interesting in VR than in 2D, and the opposite way is also true. Like there are tons of topics for traditional film that doesn't really make sense to do in VR, and
Mhm.
food was one of them until we realized like we had the right technology to do it.
So now we can circulate back to the women that you chose.
Mm.
What was it about them that succeeded to where they or how did they get to where they are today? Because, like you said, it's such a male-dominated industry. So what was it about them? Was it their drive? Was it their inspiration? Or was it what was it that you thought that made them where they are today?
Mhm. Well, I think that all of them, they really have like very different stories, and which we thought might be interesting to show because we didn't want to show only, Michelin star chef or only chef. We wanted really to do like something with a lot of diversity and showing like different stories, different women all over the world. So the starting point was we want to show diversity, and of course we want to show food, different kind of food. So sushi, soul food, gastronomy food. So we wanted to show this different type of food with our technology. And then we, found three female chefs that they all have like this story of adversity. Like they all have stories that are very emotional, and they were, they really had challenge like becoming who they are today.
Hmm.
So to tell you a bit more about the story, so we have like these three female chefs. The first one in France, Hélène Darroze, like one of the, she's doing, so she is like a free Michelin star chef. So it's one of the highest, it's actually the highest award you can get like in the food industry. And those stars are really hard to get because it's really like a tough process to be awarded by this academy, the Michelin Academy. So uh, only really a few women have them in the world, and she's one of them, Hélène Darroze. And what is interesting with her story is that she comes from a family of cooks. So she was supposed to be easy for her to just like go, in this area and succeed. But it was actually hard because her family was only male chef. Like her father was a cook, her grandfather was a cook, and they also had like Michelin star. And so when she came up as a woman in this industry, it was hard for her to just like, make her own name and her own brand because uh, like her name Darroze was really linked to the male who were in her family.
Hmm.
So being a woman there was something hard, and she was also like one of the first women at the time to really succeed and start a business in Paris, which was the place to be when you wanted to have a gastronomic business. So she's really an example of how women succeed in this very high demanding industry, especially the gastronomy food. And Yumi Shiba, the chef in Japan, her story is also very interesting because in Japan, like the sushi chef are only men. They are like, you
Yeah.
can really count like
Yeah.
the number of
Yeah.
female chefs in one hand. And she's one of them. And because like the sushi chef, they're just very like I mean the Japanese Japanese society is kind of very sexist on this topic, especially they have like a lot of kind of stereotypes on because you're a woman, your hands are too warm and the sushi are going to be ruined, this kind of
Huh.
ideas that
Huh.
keeps be just told through generations. And Yumi Shiba, she also come from a background, like her family background is chef. So she grew up in a restaurant and she took over the restaurant from her father. And her father, she just had like one child, Yumi Shiba. And she, at first, like she didn't really want to go in that area because she knew that it was hard for a woman to be a sushi chef. And at some point, she had breast cancers, and it really made her realize that, she wanted to give more and she wanted to go all in that area. And she started to become a sushi chef. And because of her talent and really, it's really hard to be a sushi chef. Like we went with her in Japan, just like waking up at 5 a.m. To go to the market and then just cooking until late at night. So it's really something that is kind of exhausting, especially when you have like toddlers and kids, and you have
Oh,
also
yeah.
to like go at home, make dinner for them. So she's really impressive in terms of, being really full of energy, like during the whole day. And the last one, Deborah Montres, she's also have like a very unique story because she was a flight attendant for 20 years, and she decided at some point that she wanted to do her passion, which was cooking. And she's Black, she's a lesbian, so she also have like these three strikes, as she say in the film. There was kind of challenging to just exist and be recognized in this industry. So she had a lot of she was rejected a lot by the people that she worked for. She was always diminished, and at some point she just say, "Okay, I just want to start my own business and do something that I love and care about." And she's actually cooking soul food, but soul food from all over the world. So it's really about this kind of comfort food that you have like in all societies and traditions, and she's trying to mix them to
Yeah.
just create an own kind of food. So they all have like very different stories, very different challenges, but all of them, they have this common story of being a woman in the food industry is hard, and they succeed like in their area. So yes, all of them were incredibly talented, and it was very interesting to meet them.
So, what are your thoughts on like, do you feel that this film will, hopefully change the narrative soon of the way females are represented in the hospitality and then of course in the restaurant industry? Because of course right now, like because of people like, Gordon Ramsay, who's been like, a male dominant figure and, hasn't treated women very fairly on camera and on television. Like, do you feel are you hoping that this will make a difference down the line, especially when it comes to VR?
Yeah, I mean, so Behind the Dish is really like the first VR show on food. There was nothing really significant from there on that specific topic, and the fact that like the first VR show in VR is about female chef, I think it's maybe this series is not going to change the whole world, and
Yeah.
it's not going to change the conditions of women in the industry, but I think that putting a spotlight on these women and these different profiles and people is the first is just like the one of the best way to just start to make a difference.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that telling the story of these people who are different, and especially the stories of women challenging this industry, is definitely a way to change things. So like we hope, of course, that it will have an impact. And I think that more and more food show try to include women,
Mhm.
but it's also like difficult because one of the chef, Hélène Darroze, so she had like hundreds of people working for her. She has like 6 different restaurants, and she when we were in a kitchen, it was actually like full of male, and there were no women at all. And she was kind of uh, embarrassed because she was like, I would like to hire more women and make sure that we have more women in our kitchen, but the fact is that um, there are not enough women in this industry. So it's also showing role model that could be inspiring for the next generation, and maybe like someone is going to be watching this content in the VR headset and be inspired and want to start a career in the food industry. So I think it's essential to have like role model, especially in this industry, especially with women. And that was the message we wanted to tell with these different women. So yeah.
So, how does it feel to be part of South by Southwest, and of course, your film being here at being there at the Austin, Texas?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like we're really glad like we're able to show show it to new agencies, new people, and just be able to showcase this experience there. Last year we went there with an other documentary which was called Surviving 9/11, which was telling the story of survivor of 9/11.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see, the feedback of the people in real life, because this can be also a bit frustrating in VR, because like people are watching it online, like at home with their headsets, and you don't really have, the comments you can have on a YouTube video or on video on any other social media platform. It's kind of hard to understand like the feedback of the people in VR. And so these kind of events, it really helps us to get that and, talk
Yeah.
to the people and just
Right.
understand what they like, what they didn't like, and have this in-person feedback and conversation that is super helpful for us as VR creators. So yeah, we're super excited to be there and present Behind the Dish there. Yeah.